ABC, it's Greeno. Basically on vacation. Got a day with the house all to myself, and it's been cranking vinyl all day. Just me and the dogs. And thought I'd make a video. Going to start on the tees for the metal and hard rock from the collection. So I'm going to take a walk back here and show you basically how big the tee selection is, or section. So we've done the S's, which basically starts here, goes along. So the T's will start here. It's basically a cube and a half, and end here. This is T, and this is T. And then after the T's, videos will go much quicker. So, like I said, I just felt like making a video and go ahead and start on these. Alright, grab the pile here and I'm going to get started. But first, what's playing in the background is the Streetwalkers, Vicious but Fair. Grabbed this at the record show over the weekend. Pretty cool so far. Alright, as usual, starting at the end, working forward. Titan, Mind Over Metal. Titan, Rough Justice. It's a different band. They spell it with an A instead of an O. Tyrant Pace, Long Live Metal. This cool band had Ralph Sheepers on vocals, and he went on to be with Gamma Ray and Primeval, I think. Good singer. Yeah, Tyrant Pace, Eye to Eye. Tyrant, Too Late to Pray. It's a California band. This is on Metal Blade. It's their second album from '87. They were kind of that thrashy. And then their first album, Legions of the Dead. It's from '85. It's on Bonsai, the Canadian label. And a different Tyrant. It's Mean Machine. Grabbed this not long ago. So Mausoleum. Killer cover. Alright, now we're getting into the Tigers of Pantang. Burning in the Shade. It's a so-so album, kind of way later. What year was this? '87. Tigers of Pantang, they're actually still, I think they just put a new album out. But they're kind of like Riot, they just kept going, different members. But the first 4 or 5 are the ones that I like the most. There's the Wreck Age. This was kind of, they were trying to get a little more commercial in this one. I think this was the 4th album, if I remember right. And here's a live album. This is a Japanese import. And does have John Sykes on guitar. And the best of And this pretty much goes up to the first 4 albums. And there was some member changes within that also. The Cage. Spellbound. John Sykes. And Wildcat. Great cover. I'm actually missing, was it Crazy Nights? The 3rd album, so still looking for a good copy of that. Here's a 2-Bit Thief, another sad story in the big city. I had no idea who these dudes were, picked it up, ended up being pretty cool. I actually have like a little bio thing. They were on Combat later. I mean, doesn't sound like early Combat at all. It's 1990. Local band, or for the most part local, from Virginia. They're a little bit bigger overseas than they ever were in the U.S. And this is their newest album, Twisted Tower Dire. Make It Dark. And this is with their new singer. It's pretty good. Kind of prefer the older stuff myself. There's Twisted Tower Dire, Netherworlds. It's a really good album. They're kind of in that vein of yeah, just that early mid-80s metal, just kind of a Priest sound to them on this album. And from 2003, here's Twisted Tower Dire with Crest of the Martyrs. It was a really good album. Very Hammerfall sounding. Yeah, they went more of a power metal sound on this album. This is on Remedy Records. It's a label out of Germany. Killer. But I need to grab another stack. Alright, next up is Twisted Sister. The Love Is For Suckers. This one's still sealed. Yep. A couple copies of that. Used to find them cheap all the time. Grab them for a buck or two. They don't show up like that anymore, unfortunately. Come Out and Play. This is the pop-up cover, and this one's sealed. Like I say, I used to find these all the time, extremely cheap, so I would grab them. Just don't see them like that anymore. Stay Hungry. Everybody knows the Twisted Sister stuff, so we'll get to these quick. You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. I mean, Stay Hungry was their big album, of course, but man, the first 2 albums are great. You know, hard rock metal albums. Really like this one. And they definitely went MTV on that Stay Hungry, but you know, they were around forever before that. Here is Under the Blade. First full length. Great album. This is the Atlantic pressing. Let's see if we can find the Secret Records. And this is on Secret Records. Same album. Slightly different cover. And the back is a little different. Same picture, just different fonts and all that. Alright, so that's it for Twisted Sister. Next we have Tough Luck. This is on New Renaissance. These guys were from Florida. Just kind of that hard rock, hair sound. They're pretty good. Another great band, TT Quick, Medal of Honor. And anybody into the new Accept, last couple albums. This is the band that Mark Tornillo, I think is how you pronounce his last name, came from. He is the singer for Accept now. Very cool band. And the early EP. This is great. It's just a really good record. Tsunami. Can't remember a lot about this. I do remember there being a couple really cool songs on here. It's been a long time since I've listened to it. Alright, another stack. Alright, another stack. We have Triton. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I showed this before. It's Celestial Messenger. I think I showed it when I picked it up. This was a blind buy, and actually ended up being really cool. Kind of like a Christian progressive metal, very Rush sounding. And of course, when I played it, I thought, man, this is just crazy. I bet nobody's heard this. Showed it, and of course, Laz had one. That's just cool, man. So. Some Trust, Paris by Night. It's a live album. It's a French metal, hard rock. Not a huge fan of this band, but pretty cool. They do Anthrax. You've heard Antisocial. This is the band. This is their song, Antisocial. Anthrax covered it. Another Trust album. Fantastic cover. Love this cover. A lot of their stuff was in French. They had some in English. Trust. Repression. Trouble, the Skull. It's an original on Combat. These are kind of hard to come by anymore. This one's in pretty good shape. Yeah, it's got a little bit of wear on the cover. Here, the vinyl's in real nice shape. And Trouble. And this thing is pretty much near mint. It's an original. Year 84. I say it's an original on Metal Blade. Trickster. Got Gotta have a little bit of everything. Hated this band at the time. I was kind of just burnt out on a lot of this stuff around this era. You know, MTV was just playing it to death. The radio was playing it to death. But you know, years later, it's like it doesn't sound as bad to me now. And that's happened with a lot of stuff. You know, it's like I remember being a huge Nirvana fan when Bleach came out, and I played the crap out of it, and then Nevermind came out, and MTV just wouldn't stop, and I got to the point where I just completely hated Nirvana. But now, you know, I can go back and listen to them. I couldn't listen to them for years. Triumph, Surveillance. So now we're getting into the Triumph collection. Great Canadian three-piece. Triumph, The Sport of Kings. Thunder 7. And these Triumphs you see around all the time, you know, especially those later ones. Never Surrender. It's kind of like towards the end of the era that I really liked of Triumph. And of course they had to have a double live album. This is Stages. This is kind of cool. You don't see this too often. It's like a promo for radio stations. It's Allied Forces album, Oriented Rock and Roll, Not for Sale, for radio promo. And it's a double album, and it just has, it's kind of like a, I guess a best of up till this point in their career. But it was never for sale as like a real album, I don't believe. I only seen a couple of these, and they all have, you know, the promo deal. It looks like it was just sent to radio stations. And probably their my favorite album, Allied Forces. Great album. We have Progressions of Power. These guys had a lot of albums. I'm assuming they were really big in Canada. Just a Game. And Rock and Roll Machine. And there's actually a couple different versions of that. Like here's this is MCA. Same cover on Attic, RCA. And here's Rock and Roll Machine on Attic, out of Canada, Canadian label. And here's a Rock and Roll Machine on RCA. All these are the same album, basically, different cover. And here's, this is on Attic. And this is basically, it doesn't say Rock and Roll Machine up here like the other versions do. So there was a bunch of different, I guess, versions of that album. All the same album. So. Alright, I guess we'll stop there. And maybe pick up and tomorrow or another couple days or something. Like I say, I'm on vacation and I'm just trying to play as many records as humanly possible. So I don't know, leave some comments, and thanks everybody for watching.